Well, I mean, look at that. That is what you're playing for. A very, very close-up trophy. If it's gone blurry all of a sudden, but I will not lie. It is a gorgeous trophy.
Maybe that's DIABOLUS' point of view because of the tears that started to come out.
I actually laughed so hard I blew my schedule off the desk.
That was mean, I'm sorry.
That was like a little bit, man.
I mean, you could have even gone, you know, blurry because, you know, they're starting to sweat a bit. It's starting to get a bit tense. But no, they're just crying.
Well,
I did straight to the jugular, mate.
I did say this is their chance to come back. They're on that red side again. They have the counter pick available for Flaxish. If they're going to start bringing this series back, I mean, it has to be now.
Like,
they're running low enough.
Yeah, this is the one opportunity, but it's a decent one. I think go into it and think, right, Flaxish was great in game 1. Let's give him something where he just takes over the game again and 1v9s.
We're going to have to be finding out, but we do, obviously, you can keep in touch with us using that Twitter, using the hashtag Forge of Champions. Forge of Champions Finals. I got my words out right. And follow us over on LVP UK. Maybe we have a couple of tweets we can bring up. I'm pretty excited to see whether or not we do. So
yeah, I was looking at the break and I just saw some. One was things can come and go and change, but the Baron will always be the bane of the UK scene.
Yeah,
and
I think it's the European bane in
both
general.
The bane and the savior in the case of Misfits. It is saving them in a lot of cases. It's allowing them to push forward.
Yeah, I mean, the Baron can only mess over one team, right?
Yeah, I mean, technically it can mess over both.
I mean, in that game 1, it was so back and forth.
Game 1, actually, it was literally Baron just screwed the whole thing. Baron didn't even die.
Yeah,
he had a perfect KDA, and he even ended out like being the major factor.
It reminds me of one of my favorite league moments. I think it was over in NA when Dignitas were against Renegades. I think it was. I can't remember where it was. Where it was, I think Rift Herald or Baron managed to pick up 2 kills, and a tower managed to pick up 2 kills.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, I remember. Dignitas went bot and they were trying to do the lane swap, and then they tanked too many tower hits and died. And then it was Renegades on the top side trying to take the Rift Herald, and Crumbs
they died as well.
It was unbelievable gameplay.
Immediately after that, Crumbs moved into casting.
Understandable. Well,
I mean, you can't really blame it.
Much like yourself, you understand when you realize you just can't play League anymore.
He Johnny Wilkinsoned it. He got like a good win under his belt, and then left
this is the peak of my career.
Well, we are through into picks and bans, and Misfits sticking to their normal ban phase, and DIABOLUS actually switching up this time, taking away the Rise. Not going to give that over to Flaxish, not going to give it over to Special on the side of Misfits.
Does leave the Aurelia open. However, Misfits going to go towards that Braum. Confident that was a big factor in their win in the last game.
And also, especially something that Prosphere has shown how comfortable he is on it as well. Able to play really well and get lane priority.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they were so aggressive in the 2v2 last game. MTES and Anthrax had a relatively safe bot lane, and yet Crispig and Prospect found consistent 2v2 kills. DIABOLUS will deny that strong Varus Braum bot lane. Like,
the question is,
the Sejuani here.
The question for me is this going to be mid or AD? There is still the option. They probably will run it in the AD role, picking in that Tahm Kench as well to go with the low mobility Varus. So you just have that get out of jail free card.
The issue, I mean, Anthrax is a good cheap Tahm Kench, but the issue is you've potentially given over your lane priority that you picked with the Varus.
Yeah, I mean, it now frees up that Misfits to also take Sejuani Braum, which is a combo they love. There's so much skirmishing power there, and yes, can the Tahm Kench eat someone out of CC? Sure. But there is too much CC on the side of Misfits, especially with that nerf to the Devour. They're just going to lock down Tahm Kench as well. So you have a really strong base already for Misfits. What are you going to take for Special? Aurelia was banned away previously and available now.
He gave a little nod to leader there, the previous mid laner, by hovering over that Zed. Going to see exactly what Misfits are going to be locking in here. Going to actually be Crispberg's Kai'Sa. So
Kai'Sa Braum as well, strong lane, and can potentially pick up some pressure as well onto the Tahm Kench. Even though it's tanky, gets chunked out very quickly by something like Kai'Sa.
A big factor as well is there's so much CC from Misfits. There is always an opportunity to jump in with your killer instinct. You don't have to go on the initial engage. You can wait for late to CC come out. I do like the pickup from NG though. You talked about how the Trundle was a good matchup in the Sejuani and has that early pressure, so we'll take that up.
And it's also safer as well than something like the Kindred, especially when NG might be coming in, not wanting to pick anything too risky, wants to try turn it around in a more stable fashion.
Every time the camera cuts to Zen, he's actually smiling. He's looking quite happy, looking quite
I'd be happy too.
He went serious after that.
If I was 2-0 up, I'd be in a pretty good mood as well. Yeah. But the series is not yet over. Have to keep things focused. We will see. The Aurelia banned away, something that they do not want Special to play. But then, taking the Cho'Gath from Shikari. And again, we don't talk much about these tank picks being so prevalent. But Shikari was really solid on this Cho'Gath.
And they're also actually here denying the Scion. That's interesting because that means that they're predicting that Diabolus want to move towards a tank v tank matchup.
The question for me is, does Flaxish or Balulu get this counter pick? Are they going to give it over to Flaxish, who typically you'd think would be the one, but they have to blind pick something here and then counter pick the next role?
I feel like with Balulu, it's less going to be, I'm going to counter pick and beat special than I'm going to counter pick and hope to survive. I would like to see them counter pick for Flaxish because I feel like that gives you a win condition.
Yeah.
Pick a safe mid here. You have more options than previous games. They've only banned 4 mid laners, not 5. This is an opportunity where you can take something fairly safe. Yes, will special be able to punish it? There is potential, but you want Flaxish to be your win condition as he was in game 1.
Yep, well, answering your question perfectly there. Going to pick up the blind Syndra for Balulu. What's open, Celtic? What can we see special maybe? What's in his arsenal that he can pull out?
Yasuo is not bad into Syndra. You can deny the ultimate with your wind wall.
Big factor as well is that you have such good synergy with the Sejuani. As soon as you dash in and start auto-attacking the Syndra, it's going to start applying those stacks of the Winter's Bite. Actually, I believe that's a Braum stuff, but Permafrost.
Don't worry, the two Freynor champions on the same team.
Well, it works the same in Braum there, and yeah, going to go for that Yasuo.
Prediction God there, Celtic. You're going to lock that in, and one more pick remains for Shikari. Going to see what he's going to be picking up. We've seen so many tanks from him. He
can go the Gnar here. Guy. Something we talked about was how a good matchup was Flaxish would take Yasuo into Gnar, but here you can blind it because you've taken Yasuo off the table. I think you have the freedom to go up. Instead, Prospect going for the safety.
Ornn Yasuo,
they want to fight. They want to fight for that.
A big factor as well is that Braum and Yasuo are the 2 champions who can block the Ornn. Yes. They are both on Misfits' side, and look at the follow-up on the side of Misfits. If you ult in, you have the Braum and the Sejuani in the front line, but Killer Instinct from the Kai'Sa and the Last Breath from the Yasuo, that is very much a dive comp, and it's so much AoE, Tahm Kench isn't going to provide enough safety for both the carries on Diabolus.
Going to pick up that GP into Shikari's Ornn in the top lane, so Flaxish at least will have a fairly comfortable laning phase, but Shikari will just neutralize him. He's not going to be able to push. He's not going to be able to like hard split push until he gets that Triforce and that Stormrazor. But I'm scared if I'm Diabolus. You're looking at this team. They've got a great counter in the jungle, but the team fight from Misfits is just filthy. It's very scary to play into. You know, you have so many. The carries can just jump into your backline with very little effort.
This also comes back to what I think was Misfits' greatest strength in the previous game. They had the lane pressure, they used that lane pressure with the jungler, and that gave them solid early leads. They still have the lane pressure bot, they can fight off against the Tahm Kench because Kai'Sa means the Tahm Kench can't play as far up as he might in some other lanes. In the mid lane, you got the counter pick with your Yasuo into Syndra. On top of that, you then have your top laner who's not in an awful matchup early. It's something that Gangplank just wants to farm out.
Yeah, and I feel like Flaxish is on a pick who's powerful here, but I don't know how he's going to get to the point where he can just completely dominate these team fights. Or even the side lane when he knows that Yasuo is something that's potentially go up against him, and so much CC lockdown and damage coming out of Misfits. I think what I would like to see is a lot of movement from Prospect on this Braum. If you move with Afflict and the Sejuani, that duo is so strong they can facilitate any champion like the Kai'Sa or the Yasuo, and if they find NG in his own jungle, they can punish him so effectively.
And something we've talked about in previous series, and I'd like to mention here again, is how easy win conditions are to execute. The win conditions from Misfits are almost like face-hitting keyboard levels of easy.
Yeah, absolutely.
You just hit all the ultimates in a team fight and you win. There is nothing to block things like Ornn, as you touched on in the draft. There's nothing to really stop the Yasuo just running through a fight. Wind wall use being effective means that you just shut down a lot of what they want to do. It's a hard fight for Diabolus.
And I really like this coming out from Misfits as well, because they've kind of recognized, all right, we're 2 up. We don't want to get reverse sweep. We're going to play a fairly easy to execute team fight comp, which we've had so much kind of like good team fighting so far. So they're quite content getting that, as we will be loading through to our 3rd game in this series, this best of 5, where Misfits are staring down the barrel looking... Sorry, they're actually looking down the sights. And it's Diabolus looking down the barrel. One more game separates them from European Masters.
I was thinking, they now have the counter pick for Diabolus in the top lane for Flaxish. Do I think this is enough to turn the series in their favor? I'm not quite so sure. This Gangplank isn't something that's going to be able to dominate top lane.
And coming back to my lane priority point, that Doran's Ring confirms it for me in the bot lane. They just want a hard push. They're going to use the Q consistently from Kai'Sa, get a lot of damage out quickly, and allows them to keep the lane pushing forward.
We'll see.
Gonna see them starting up pretty standard here, getting that red buff.
Yeah, let's just
we just making the same. Oh, yeah. You know, we cost give us so much. We're like finishing each other's
sandwiches.
Sandwiches. That's right, because we're gonna go to Excalibur, who's standing by with an interview.
So I actually am here with two members of Misfits. We have Leader over here on my left, and we have Zen on my right. Let's start with, you guys have been doing well. You told me not to overhype Misfits, though, before we got into this. He said they've been playing bad, but they're still 2-0 up in the Forge of Champions finals. What's been going wrong for Diabolus, though, from your perspective?
I think that the mid lane difference is really huge, but more so than that, I feel like Diabolus just, they're a bit slow on their macro rotations. I think they're like 5 to 10 seconds too slow. And even though we were playing quite poorly and our macro rotations are a bit so-so as well, I think those 5 to 10 seconds make all the difference.
Are we ready for Leader's answer?
I mean, like, they brought in like 2 new members, and I think they're both bad, like worse than the previous ones. And I don't know, like, we're bad, they're bad, but they're even worse.
So what you're saying is this is just a Clown Fiesta final, and it just so happens you guys are better at the circus. Right, let's hand it back to the casters.
Well, we need to hand it back in time, as Special's actually getting ganked by NG. Red buff is resetting, the Ignite goes down, and NG takes a couple of tower shots, bleeding out. Not going to die, though, as the minion aggro will reset. Whew. Spicy words coming through from Leader.
I can't believe Leader just called the whole team bad. He literally called all 10 players terrible.
I mean, that's the thing, is that normally if someone filling the assistant coach role says that, you're like, can you say that? But Leader did play on Misfits in Forge of Champions 4, and he was the best player in the Forge of Champions 4, so I think he's justified.
Regardless,
I think Chris Berg's had an insane series so far. Special, you know, returning to this roster, you know, he was there for previous seasons here in the UK scene, played on this Misfits roster, who went to the European Masters. It was a little underwhelming, unfortunately, for them, but now he's looking to return. Now he's looking to try and avenge. Yeah, you know.
Yeah,
the great Revengers film out recently is...
They You've got Paperman, who is one of the Revengers.
Oh yeah, actually, the Revengers is a thing. I forget about this, but looking forward, I think this matchup is super interesting. I thought we were hoping for a bit of a closer series so far, and unfortunately, Diabolus haven't been able to deliver on that after Game 1, because Game 2 it just looks like Misfits have their number, banning out Balulu. Balulu seems to still be looking to carry, still having impressive plays, but it's just not enough compared to Special.
Well, NG's really looking to put the plays in as well. Chrisberg forced to flash up, the Ignite is going down, and first blood over to Amphorax. Diabolus finally answer back.
A good aggression coming out from NG. He looked for the gank mid, he's looking for a bot. This is the window Diabolus have. Trundle has more early pressure than the Sejuani, and I like to see them take advantage of that. Now Chrisberg's flashes are unavailable. See them going for it again.
You can see they're fairly low on mana here. They didn't really go for the play, but Anthrax just goes with a very quick flash play. And this actually comes back to some of the weaknesses we've noted about Diabolus. They aren't as quick to pull the trigger. This time, they're willing to do so in the early game.
Absolutely, and will be rewarded with Ocean Dragon again. This isn't something that scales massively into the late game, but if you can secure it in the early levels, does give a massive advantage with that sustain in the laning phase. Especially when you look at the champions on Diabolus, very mana dependent.
That's going to be one of the big things as well, because Special's, you know, resourcefulness on the Yasuo, so he can kind of just continuously trade with Balulu and only have to really worry about his health bar for the moment. With these wind walls, he's able to block out a fair chunk of damage, but Balulu will trade out, but losing a lot of mana. Meanwhile, Flaxish, speaking of mana's running a little bit low, and they're looking to try and get the permafrost on to lock him down. The flash comes down, does have that orange if he wants to get a heal, and now they're going to be able to not chase for more as Flaxish does make his way out topside.
Oh, very clutch encounter there. Does manage to get away and actually use the oranges after the shutdown to get the max amount of HP possible. Understands Braum Sejuani has a lot of CC, not a ton of damage. Able to get away, but does lose his flash in that situation.
I think he can be pretty happy with that. I think he played that as well as he could. Able to get his way out. Special is running a little bit low. You see Balulu hanging over that wall, maybe looking for the scatter.
Oh, NG.
NG's coming through.
No flash on Special.
Afflict on the other side.
Special, like you said, but Afflict is also turning up here, and now they're looking for the orbs. Now they're looking for the damage. Special's going ham into the last breath. NG is getting engaged onto, and a great wind wall will block out a little bit of the damage, and Special makes it out with like 6 HP. Oh my lord!
Oh, it's so close, but Balulu has cleanse, not ignite, isn't able to find the damage. And a good combo from Special Afflict comes out ahead and equalizes the score.
And that was so close as well, but the really key thing is they gave the shutdown over to Yasuo. It doesn't really matter, that's the top lane.
Welcome to the bounce house, Shikari, breathing fire with the bellows breath and a flash forward. He just collapsed him underneath his turret.
That is not how you want that matchup to go. Yes,
counterpick, by the way, counterpick.
But we will see that engage coming in there, and it's actually really smart from Special here. He has one stack, gets a second here for the tornado. Actually, no, it's a knockup from Afflict from the flash. Does manage to get the ult off there, and then it's just so much burst and CC onto the Trundle. And then the wind will actually blocks one of those balls. It actually blocked one of those balls. That's the reason he survived.
You even see the scorch burning a little bit left as well. That is so unlucky.
And to touch on that, I actually was slightly wrong. It wasn't a shutdown gold because it was only 1 kill on the Trundle, but still, giving the full kill gold over to the Yasuo will allow him to start scaling up in this matchup.
And he's been able to go back, pick up that Zeal. We've just got the Sork treads picked up onto Balulu. So at least he'll be able to kind of duck and dive and run away a little bit more from Special. But Special, he's not too worried. He's actually just going to trade with him with that minion wave. Quite content with that escape plan.
The thing is, if you fall behind in this matchup and you're just not able to burst the Yasuo, he'll consistently look for trades until he finds a good all-in.
1 HP on Special, by the way. I've just been informed.
Yeah, so
he survived. So you mean
slightly close.
Calculated.
Yeah.
Yeah, he worked that down just
no
1
flash
HP.
top.
No flash top, like you said, and now they're looking for Flaxish. She does remember have that orange. Ornhorn's not available, so Shikari and Afflict are just gonna be content with scaring Flaxish.
Yeah, you need to burn the orange with that initial stun from Afflict and then follow up with the ult. You can't just initialize with it, especially when you're in a tower and taking tower hits. Still, Flaxish. This is a matchup they had the counter pick for. Not going too favorable. Balulu might be in trouble.
Going in. Ultimate goes a little bit wide, but Balulu getting slowed down. Permafrost is not going to be enough as Balulu was able to flash away to safety. Has still got that cleanse as well as... Uh-oh, that's going to be a kill over to M-Test. He's picked one up onto Chrisberg. Now Shikari making his way through, misses the charge and doesn't quite get that knock-up. And it's just another return. Diabolus do answer back and start to look to pressure in this bot lane. Look at the CS. We haven't talked about that. 76 to 58.
Yeah, and it's M-Test and Anthrax are starting to step up in a matchup I thought, you know, should be fairly comfortable for Chrisberg and Prosper. They'd shown quite well up in Game 2, and it looks like M-Test and Anthrax out for revenge.
Yeah, I mean, this is exactly the same thing we saw in reverse in Game 2. Chrisberg and Prosper were getting constant 2v2 kills. Although it was with the help of the gank there, Diabolus able to pick up another kill onto Chrisberg, and this is what they need if they want to have some life in this series.
Clearly the conclusion is that Varus is broken, because this has happened every time Varus has been picked in. They've won lane very hard with them. But let's have a quick look at the fight. It's NG actually getting into the lane here.
You even see NG get caught on the ward there as well.
Lands the ult just there. It's a great pillar, and no flash from Chrisberg means he's just not able to get out. Trundle pillar so powerful when you don't have the ability to get around it. And Shikari even burning the TP in here, but it's too late. There's no damage left between them.
Probably should have cancelled that once Chrisberg went down.
Yeah,
but decided to finish it out, and now it's a longer cooldown again. So that is unfortunate for Misfits, who are looking to try continue their advantages towards the mid and top lane.
Also did give Flaxy some alone time with that top tower. Managed to chunk it out a fair bit. I'd actually think it'd be a good play for Diabolus to send their bot lane top, use the Abyssal Voyage, and then look to punish that top tower and snowball the game from there.
Now, as they've hit that 10-minute mark, gold is pretty much even. Just 500 separates both of these teams. We do start to look at the items coming through. We see the Blade of the Ruined King getting started up by M-Test, just sitting on that Bilgewater Cutlass. Chrisberg has 2 long swords and those Berserker's Greaves, so still a ways off really being that big threat once he's got that Stormrazor.
2 long swords is still significantly better than only having 1 long sword, so credit to him for that.
It is, but mathematically twice as good, so yes, well done.
Do you see Afflict heading towards that hell, but looks like he's going to come over mid.
Has got ultimate.
Waiting in the wings, though.
Yeah, it's quite hard.
You were so ready to be hyped before it, but he still might find the opening.
Oh, lands a knock-up special. Oh, he went forward. He was like, nah, I'm not going to do it.
It's a trigger finger, but he does hold back.
Scout of the Week goes a little bit wide. You still have Afflict hanging in the wings. Amphorax and NG are heading back, but Balulu now has been caught out. The flash is there. The knockup comes down, and Special doesn't even need an ultimate. He's 2-0 on the Yasuo. NG, though, with the Subjugate and a Wind Wall, has thrown a knockup onto 2, but M-Test now being flanked out by Prosper. They're still chasing. A gobble, gobble, gobble comes down, and NG finds himself the kill. It's a 1-for-1 mid.
Yeah, and you saw how little damage went onto Afflict because of the passive and the aftershock. The ult from Balulu did nearly nothing, but NG and Atrax were there to turn around, and now No jungler for the side of Misfits. Their mid lane is spawning pretty soon. They're confident to start this Infernal Dragon, and it's a huge objective.
Not that confident, because you technically have the 3v3 possibility here. Yasuo's still in the mid lane, ready to collapse down.
And Shikari was also making his way down from topside just in case to turn it into a 4v3. Misfits going to be able to get themselves their hands on that Rift Scuttler, get a bit of vision control around this area. And with Afflict back up on the map, they can look to maybe pressure this dragon.
And one of the big things there is that's the power of the Yasuo Ornn. As soon as Ornn leaves, you know that Yasuo exists, so you can't walk up, because Last Breath followed up on the Ornn ult is just too dangerous for you.
They are doing this on vision here by DIABOLUS.
Yeah, well,
you can see Afflict heading over, spot them out with that sweeper, throws a ward over. Afflict just
gets it!
Oh, Afflict steals out the dragon, and Arctic assaults to safety. That was huge.
Oh, and what a steal! Infernal Dragon, probably the most valuable one in the game.
Hold on, Shikari into the bounce out, and down goes Flaxish. Counter matchup, my bottom.
Wow, I mean, things just going great for Misfits. The Infernal Dragon steal and getting out. And then a solo kill from Shikari in this Gangplank. And look at his build. Picked up the Iceborne Gauntlet already because he knows he can pressure this 1v1.
Shikari's done it twice now. He's soloed out Flaxish 2 times in a row. Now Afflict has made his way down to that bot lane, but has been spotted out on a pink ward. So
big talking point. If Shikari wins this game, he will not be the back-to-back champion. He will be the back-to-back 3-time in a row champion of the UK, and this is why.
Yeah, and I think you can absolutely see why. He's had great 3 games. Even when falling behind to Alawi, managed to stave off in the early game and then later on be really integral in some of these team fights. And now, as the game goes forward, has shown in series that he can really carry even on these tanks.
Yeah, I mean, you're getting solo kills, not once but twice on Ornn into your Gangplank. It just shouldn't happen.
Onto Flaxish as well.
Let's see LCS steal this away once again. I mean, I was like, you're crazy.
They know he's there because they see the pink ward, but he uses the blast cone, so it's very low risk because he can just dash back out and... yeah.
Come at me, bruh.
I don't think we can say anything on top of that.
I think he earned the right to do that.
Yeah, I think he did.
Well, Afflict
at least,
now going to try and get himself this Rift Herald as well, so...
At least he
continues to get objectives for Misfits.
At least he didn't dab.
I would have taken my headset up, gone upstairs, and given him a firm talking to.
Yeah, no dabbing here. More classy, old school surfer thing going on there.
Is that where it's from?
I think so. That's the only place I know it from.
In my head, I'm like, actually, did NG just steal that?
Yeah, I believe
he did. Smite, he did, but we are going to see the Call of the Forge God come through. There is a Yasuo into a 2-man Last Breath. Entes flashes out, but Special still alive as he gets unleashed, powered onto. Down goes Special, down goes Afflict, and Shikari is running low. DIABOLUS are looking to turn this once again. Misfits overextended, and they are going to get caught out. 3 kills over to DIABOLUS and the Rift Herald.
Yeah, and they're throwing the Rift Herald straight away down in mid. They want to push this advantage. First tower almost definitely going to go over to them, and not even just first, the second one as well.
Chrisberg's gone topside to try and contest this turret here, while the Rift Herald is pushing, and Prosper is the only one to deal with that.
And what a goal swing from DIABOLUS. I mean, it looked tricky, and they pulled ahead huge.
What a horrific misplay. Like, I'm sorry, you go for the Rift Herald, you decide you're pretty much done. You leave it open to be, you know, get the quick smite loss, and you didn't have the players ready to collapse around you. You didn't have the players to protect your jungler, so you lose the whole fight in that area, even though you got a good Yasuo Ornn combo, because simply DIABOLUS had more members there.
Yeah, my issue was Chrisbig was never there. Special tried to do as much as he can, but Anthrax saved M-Test, did so much there, and then the damage just wasn't there to follow up. Chrisbig, on the other side of the map, ends up just losing at the team fight, and although things seemed favorable for Misfits in this game 3, there is now a 3.5k gold lead coming out for DIABOLUS. That's staggering at this point in this game.
And this is what we've seen consistently come out from DIABOLUS as well. Constant punish and constant, like, collapses going through onto Misfits. Every time Misfits do make a play and there's a potential for a counterplay, DIABOLUS have answered it and been able to find something. This time it pays off absolutely perfectly for them. They're able to get themselves a Rift Herald and 3 members of Misfits.
Yeah, and they got themselves 2 outer towers as well, which really quickly swung the gold lead in their favor. Now DIABOLUS in a much more commanding spot than they would be otherwise. However, Misfits still have a very strong comp that we have touched on in team fights. Can they find it, or will they run into the same issue they had in Game 1, where even though they had the stronger team fight, DIABOLUS were starting team fights on better terms?
Yeah, and we'll see how this starts off. NG runs over and just gets in to steal it with the smite, and then instantly turns under Afflict. The ult means he's quickly able to take him out, and now the Ornal gives a good ult setup for the Yasuo, but a great eat from Anthrax means N-Test won't die, and Special left alone at the end.
It was also a very good flash by M-Test because it gave him time to flash out, get away from the Q, and then also gave Anthrax time to take a breather and quickly then gobble him up.
I also want to say Anthrax's TK ults were something that really helped them in the semi-finals, and it's showing up here again because it very quickly turned what could have been a good 3v3 for Misfits into a terrible 3v5.
Yeah, and I mean, him and NG so far have been part of every single kill for DIABOLUS in this game. They're working really well as a jungle support duo, and this is something I said I would like to see Afflict and Prosphere do, but instead NG and Anthrax have taken up that mantle. They have the stronger early jungle, they have the better support to roam with our ultimate.
Oh.
That's unfortunate. Good use of the Gangplank ult to deny that push.
And they even get the turret at bot side, so DIABOLUS continue to pressure this gold lead. It's now up to 4k, sitting quite comfortable as Misfits are thwarted as they try to push down that top side tier 1. Special is hanging about, is proxying the way for the moment, wants to try and get at least the first turret for Misfits, but
has to be careful. I'm not sure he could take on Flax this year. He certainly won't have an easy time of it.
Definitely not on the tower, and he is by himself. Flax is going to just use the barrels to clear out the wave.
Change the barrel actually, pops the shield. Special slowed actually taking a tower shot as well, but just with that Phantom Dance at the moment, Special's damage isn't quite there yet. Still needs to get that Infinity Edge. As NG looking for a flank onto Prosphere. This is 3v2. Instant pillar. Here comes the Ornhorn into the knockups. As Chrisberg remains untouched. The gobble comes out from Apharax, but now NG could still be caught in place. But actually it's Prosphere with a tongue lash coming down. Gonna get a kill onto him, and DIABOLUS continue to pressure now on to Misfits as Special enters into the fight a little bit too late.
And once again, the issue we were talking about, it's DIABOLUS starting fights on better terms. They're able to quickly turn around, and they have more members in the area.
Yeah, if you don't get backline access with Misfits composition, you're not going to have a good time. Farish is able to free hit, and Cinder pumping out so much damage. It just felt like Prosphere got caught out, and then even though they tried to...
That's the scan of the week. Chrisberg's running low. Great wind wall, though, by Special to deny the ultimate from Balulu, and Flaxish not going to be able to get more, but one more play. Afflict's coming in. Can he find the smite?
Oh my
God! And he gets out. The pillar's not enough. Afflict, you absolute animal. Shikari will make sure he gets out, and somebody give this man a hug. What a play.
That should not happen once, let alone twice. That honestly could be the turning point for this game. Yes, DIABOLUS are still ahead, but if this game goes late, those double Infernos are going to be such a problem when they're on a Yasuo and on a Kai'Sa. You should not be letting that happen. Big mistake from DIABOLUS.
Afflict even got into the pit early. He sat in the pit for a while.
And the dragon reset. It still didn't matter. He was still able to find the smite. Well played by Afflict. Let's watch it again. Look, you actually see the dragon start to reset here. And as the flail is coming through, it's starting to walk back. The health is on the way up. Gets the auto through. I think it's actually M-Test chunks it with a piercing arrow. And then the smite comes through.
I mean, they could have prepared that way better. Anthrax should have been in position to zone out Afflict. As soon as he comes over, get your stacks up, eat him, then you smite the dragon. There's no way he can steal. But instead, you've given over 2 Infernal Dragons. The worst ones to give over.
Yeah, essentially just allow it to reset, and you give yourself a much better setup.
Absolutely.
That's actually maybe not what Balulu wants to be. Forced to run away, actually. The flash was used in the ultimate. Tahm Kench is delivering a couple of members in. NG as well. That's going to be 1. Make it 2. Easily gifted over. And Shikari completes the teleport and is forced to steering charge away. They could go for Baron.
Yeah, no jungler. Baron definitely on the cards. There's no chance of this getting stolen. Well, I say that. There is potential. But no smite steals.
Wow. He's been caught out. He does have that flash, but Flaxish just deletes him. Call of the Forge God is way too little, and it's just way too late. DIABOLUS at 20 minutes. They're not looking to go down yet. They want to continue to pressure as Anthrax taking a little bit of damage from Shikari. Prosphere's hanging over the wall as well. Can they slow this down? Can they contest for long as NG puts out a pillar into the Glacial Fissure? Baron's still pumping the damage down onto a couple of members as Shikari steps forward once again. Baron Nashor will go down though, and DIABOLUS will not lose a single member and are able to take themselves down. Baron Nashor at 21 minutes.
And NG secures one. He messed up the first Infernal, he messed up the second, but he gets the Baron. Finally, he does redeem himself, and with the 8k gold lead and the Baron, they're in a good position.
I mean, jokes aside, this is a really good play by Diabolus.
Yes.
They've managed to turn the game around. They've managed to find themselves consistent picks. And Misfits, they're just don't seem to be able to team fight, even though we talked about how easy their comp is to execute on.
Yeah. I mean, I do want to kind of hit on the fact that we were like, man, Misfits have a great team fighting comp. They're not team fighting. Diabolus aren't letting them team fight. Diabolus are picking them off 1 or 2 members at a time. And then you can't get that big Call of the Forge God, engage, let the Yasuo knock multiple people up, and then Crispberg can just Killer Instinct in and just Akafi and rain the pain down. Not going to be able to do so. As now, with this Baron buff, with 1 minute on the clock, Diabolus are looking to push, and they're even going to use the ultimate. Flaxish could get caught out here. 3 members, sorry, Special who could be getting caught out here. There's 3 members are chasing him down, but with a minion wave, we can see Special trying to make his run, make his great
as much
escape.
time as he can.
He is buying so much time. Anthrax with the tongue lash, great wall, and Special dashes through him, actually pumping the damage. Great pillar though, into the knock-up, into the last breath. Special is trying to make a hero play. Not going to be enough as Anthrax gets his 3rd kill on the Tahm Kench, but in the meanwhile, so much time was used, so much resources were used, and they're going to be able to get themselves a turret in the top side for Misfits. That's their first one, though. They're still down in gold. They're still not got that Baron, and they're in a dangerous position.
Yeah, they will end up giving up this mid tower, but think about how much time was bought. Baron buffers and Diabolus, they need to push his advantage. They're up against a double Infernal team. They want to get as much as they can, and Special bought quite a lot of time. Now, Anthrax walking back over, they don't want to play too aggressive without him there. He's a big reason why Misfits haven't been able to find the team fights.
Yeah, and the big thing there was, even though, as you said, there were a lot of resources thrown, there was still Balulu able to stay in the mid lane, able to keep the minions baroned up, and they were able to continue the waves pushing up. So Diabolus, while it was a bit of time spent, they weren't losing that much from it.
Yeah, and they still have that Baron push to go in bot lane. Misfits might look for that big engage
5v5, this actually should be Misfits' time. Shikari still has that Call of the Forge God. Scatter the Weak is down. Hanging about the turrets, the minions, sorry, are starting to do a bit of damage to the turret as Crispberg loses a big chunk of HP. When's this trigger going to get pulled? That's going to be the Call of the Forge God. 4 members are clipped with the first part. That's going to be a big one onto multiple members. The last
there it is.
There. That's the wombo combo, but nobody on Misfits has got the kill, and it's going to get turned around. A double kill onto Flagshish on the gangplank as he's stepping forward. Oranges will heal him underneath the turret, and they tried for the play. They tried to get him, and Crispberg is pumping the damage out. He finds himself one. He's going to find himself a double kill, and Diabolus with blinking health bars are forced to run away. Misfits, by the skin of their teeth, hold on to the base.
Yeah, and it was a good start from Diabolus. They get those 2 early kills. Affliction Special a bit too far forwards, but then Diabolus make the fatal error to dive so deep.
Okay, that would have been
Misfits. And again, 2 kills onto Crispberg. Probably the worst place for those to go onto. This Kai'Sa is going to start getting stronger.
And what I'd like to talk about here is, yes, you get the full big combo, we talked about it, but there wasn't the follow-up from Misfits. They weren't able to bring out enough damage quickly, even though you got Yasuo right into the center, because Diabolus did a really good job of backing off and making sure, even though they were all getting caught out like this, the team fight was too split for Misfits to make kills of what was a really solid Ornn Yasuo ult combo. A M-Test on the side as well picks people off of the Chain of Corruptions, means that even further staves off the continued engage. Instead, what happens here is Diabolus get way too hypey, looking towards the end, and then Crispberg is able to turn it around because Diabolus split themselves up the same way they'd split Misfits up previously.
That's so big. Let's see what Crispberg's going to be able to buy off the back of this. Got himself a QSS now.
Yeah,
it's playing even safer.
Safe game.
Infinity Edge finished up on Special as well.
It is big. It is still almost a 10k gold lead in favor of Diabolus. So you can't... It's given Misfits a small window back into this game, but certainly that window is extremely small and hard to get through.
I mean, the big thing is that you've denied that Baron push. It's no longer available for Diabolus. You're going to be able to just catch your breath a bit before it spawns again. Misfits trying to not necessarily close that gold lead, but the more gold is available for each team, the less that gold lead means.
And also with the double Ocean Drakes now, Diabolus are able to kind of continue those sieges because they've got the refreshment on mana and health when they just take a little bit of a step back. But the concern is the double Infernal Drakes onto the team with 2 hyper carriers who scale so well into this late game.
Imagine this, okay? Imagine Diabolus had both those Infernal Dragons and both the Oceans and that big lead. That would be such a difficult situation to be in. Those Infernal Dragons may not end up being an issue for Diabolus, but if Misfits come back and win this game, I'm 100% going to say they were a big factor.
I think that's fair. And I think part of that is it's Diabolus who are still in control, but have now been slowed down. They now effectively have to wait this 2 minutes till the Baron and use that to try end, that gives Misfits the opportunity to look for team fights. It should be Diabolus finding the picks they were previously and using those to end.
The thing is as well is that we've said how Misfits need backline access. The best case situation for them is Diabolus start the Baron, they get them trapped in the pit, and then there's no way to save the Syndra and the Varus from the assassination attempt that you saw.
This is what we saw in game 1. Misfits getting pulled around the map by Diabolus, who were just rotating that a little bit faster than the side of Misfits. And Misfits able to at least respond, but they lose half the HP of that tier 2 in top side. They can't continue to bleed out damage onto their turrets as M-Test is just free auto-attacking away as all the Misfits are just trying to clear the wave out. We do have Special making his way back up towards the team, so maybe a bit of a team fight will start to erupt at this point as Misfits as this 5-man death ball stepping forward. NG flashes in with the pillar. In comes the call of the Forge God into the chains of corruption. They are throwing everything down onto M-Test, who gets locked in place, but he does not fall down. Misfits are being punished as M-Test finds himself one. Special goes in with the ultimate. It's instantly forced to flash away. Everyone on Diabolus running a little bit low on HP, but a Scout of the Weak connects onto 2. Prosper stands behind me, puts up the wall to make sure that nobody else goes down, but the turret will fall and Diabolus stay alive and punish Misfits perfectly.
Yeah, I feel like they got something from that, but Trundle, not the best engaged champion. They only take out Shikari as a TP, and now with low HP bars, they have to back off. This gives Misfits some space to get control back in that Baron area.
And those fights that fight was so hectic. What actually happened, and I'd love to see again, was when Ornn turned the ult and actually hit M-Test, but Special wasn't in range to follow up on that. That could have been the AD carry going down. That could have been the fight turned right there.
It was
he ulted by the Varus? I feel like he was rooted.
I'm not sure, but one big thing was that it was the only situation in the past 5 minutes where Anthrax hasn't been in range of M-Test. That was the one situation where you would have been able to kill him, but the follow-up wasn't there, and maybe that's the reason why M-Test was so confident.
And they used all their resources on him. There was the Sejuani ultimate, the Ornhorn went as well. And they just couldn't actually land the damage onto him. And now we see Diabolus starting up this Baron. M-Test is extremely fed. It's going to start to melt, losing so much HP. Afflict over the wall with the Blast Cone is trying to get his flank off. Can Afflict do it one more time? They're going to peel away as Prosper is stepping back. Baron has been stopped for the moment as Shikari gets scattered the weak into. Oh, that is unfortunate. Here comes the call of the Forge God. Shikari misses the redirect. And now with the NG stepping forward, Balulu's going to be able to find one. Prosper with the Unbreakable, trying to keep everyone up for the moment. And that would just be one kill for the moment over to Diabolus. But they're taking a step back. Maybe NG's going to catch out Afflict. The Tongue Lash has gone through. Special over that wall. Not going to be able to find anything. Wind Wall's not enough. NG very, very low on HP. But Special just stuck against the wall, unable to test anymore, and Diabolus will turn back onto Baron Nashor.
Yeah, no smite available for Misfits. They should be able to take this, but there's going to be an attempt coming out from Chris Big, Prosper, and Special.
I don't know if they're even going to have a chance. Prosper tanks up the Scout of the Week. Baron's over already. This could be the end of the fight. Special goes in with the ultimate. So does Chrisberg. But instantly they're going to be able to get a kill onto Prosper and Special. Chrisberg is on the wrong side of the map. And a Blast Cone over the wall will scare him off. But look at the rest of the team with the Abyssal Voyage making their way in. Chrisberg could get caught out here. Trying to recall. Oh, Balulu will find him out with a Q. And now Chrisberg gets unleashed power onto him.
Outplayed.
Solos him out. The outplay button comes through. And Diabolus are turning towards the inhibitor. They're turning towards ending the base here and winning the game.
Yeah, only 2 tanks to defend for Misfits for now. Should be a good finish for Diabolus and a turnaround in the series.
Oh, good ulti. Sorry, gobble by Amphoraxes. They are still going in. Afflict finds one, but it's going to get taken down. It's the ace, and the turrets go down. Diabolus, with their backs to the wall, turn the series around and find themselves their first win.
And what a comeback from Diabolus. They looked so shaky in those first 2 games, but they bring it back for game 3. It wasn't too easy. They did give away 2 Infernal Dragons, but once they got a lead, they really started to push it. However, going back onto that blue side, the unfavorable side for them, will they be able to continue this and make the full comeback?
Anthrax's Tahm Kench is really good. That's what I'm... This is...
Yes.
Like, seriously, every time we've seen their big map plays, these big team fights, Misfits aren't able to respond. We saw similar problems when Diabolus faced up against Enclave, when he managed to pick this Tahm Kench, shut down split pushes like that, shut down... And in this case, he shut down any team fight potential because he's able to pick people off. I don't think teams are prepared to play around how quickly he can move people around the map.
We've seen it, yeah, we've seen it so many times, actually, where the Abyssal Voyages are just so impactful for catching anyone in the side lane out.
And I think the big change it did is previously, even when you were talking to the coaches, it was noted that DIABOLUS weren't making the calls as quickly. It was Misfits who were able to move quicker to every single play. This time it was completely the opposite because simply 2 extra members showed up to every fight.
I think a big thing as well is because Tahm Kench offers so much safety to your backline, if a fight looks unfavorable, you can often get yourself out of it with the Devour, and then you wait until you have the numbers advantage before you take the fight.
And you denied the Sejuani so many potential engages as well. It allowed MTES to play so far up.
Shikari had a great game versus Flaxish at the beginning, though. Soloed him twice in lane. But unfortunately, they had this wombo combo team fight put together. DIABOLUS didn't let them execute that early, got themselves a good gold lead by using this Tahm Kench effectively by flanking anyone who was caught out in a side lane, picking people off, always forcing them into favorable team fights for DIABOLUS, reading the map very, very well. NG being a big player in that as well. He played just like he did versus Monkeys in yesterday's game, where he just out-rotated Enclave, and then when Misfits got into a position where they could 5v5, they were 10k down, so you just don't win at that point.
NG's pathing was much better because he managed to punish bot lane, he managed to punish elsewhere. Every time he landed in lane, they had such a big issue dealing with this Trundle, and that's why I talked about it in game 1. I would have preferred it as a pick. I thought it would be very strong into the Sejuani. They didn't go for it, and I mean, I'm not going to say that's the reason they lost that game. There was a lot going into that, but I definitely think he looked more comfortable on it, and it was a really strong contender, especially in the early game.
Now, for Misfits, are they going to look to focus out more of the support bans again, just keep Balulu off his top 3 champions? Or do you think there's now time where they go, okay, we need to do a little bit of a rotation. We need to think about NG on the Trundle if we're not going to first pick it, if we're not willing to play it. We need to think about what maybe Flaxish is capable of playing. And MTES is quite clearly comfortable playing whatever Chrisberg wants to play, which is the Varus. So,
yeah.
Like he's quite comfortable playing that hyper game, that like kind of low mobility, hyper carry, late game scaling team fighter, and he's playing it very well.
I think for me, you're now on the red side. Look for the counter pick for top lane. You saw Shikari get 2 solo kills. Unfortunately, on Ornn, it's not that useful. You know he's doing better than the enemy top lane at this point. You could pick a better matchup for him when you have the counter pick. Mid is generally going to go in the favor of Misfits because Special is so strong. And then bot lane, you either take the Braum or the Varus yourself and deny that. And then if they pick the Varus, you take a safe AD carry. If they take the Braum, then you take the Varus. And you just give some save to the bot lane or the potential to win the 2v2. And you let your solo lanes be strong as they have been throughout this series.
Yeah, and I definitely think red side has an advantage in this series for that reason. I think it allows you to get those counter picks on top of the fact that while there are some picks that are worth first picking, like the Sejuani, like the Ryze, there's also other picks to follow that up with, other picks to counter that. Yeah. The Varus as well is something that shoots up high in priority, the Braum, and you can get one of those on the other side. And we saw that game, you know, they picked up the Braum, so the Varus was gotten in response.
I mean, there's quite a lot to talk about towards picks and bans. It's going to be hard to do it until we get into the next game and
ban
looking at the picks and bans. Ban the Tahm Kench.
Yeah.
Maybe don't just focus Balulu in the pick and bans, because even though he hasn't had a stellar game, that Syndra game was definitely a vast improvement from the first 2 games.
I still think it's the right call to ban him out. I still think that's how good he is when not on his comfortable champions.
Yeah.
You do not want him comfortable.
I mean, Special as well. He's been playing so well until the Yasuo game. But like, is Yasuo really the problem?
He was playing fine, I think, up until a point where it just seemed that the team fights weren't coming together. I think it was actually his bot lane falling behind is what really ended up costing DIABOLUS, or what it really ended up costing Misfits so dearly in most cases.
I mean, it's been a long game. We have to remember the early skirmishes mid. Yasuo played so well in those 2v2s. I don't think you can discredit Special. I think it was just the better team play on the back of the Tahm Kench coming out from the side of DIABOLUS, and big factor in them bringing this series back. And you know, could go to this game. We'll definitely go in this game 4. Could even go to a game 5.
Well, DIABOLUS, with their backs to the wall, were able to pull out a miracle win against Misfits. They need to continue that pressure up. So we're going to find out whether or not they can do it after the break. So don't go anywhere. We'll see you in a bit.